お願いします。Okay, so let's start with Zazen. Developing our inner awareness, developing the mind-body connection, developing our inner sensitivity, being able to develop X-ray vision in a sense, or X-ray feeling, developing the ability to sense the bones, the spine, the tissues. So turning our attention inward, allowing our body to self-adjust so it becomes more spacious and vertical. Consciously releasing the abdomen, allowing the breath to sink and fill the abdomen. Giving the eyes a soft, general focus, allowing a soft gaze, softens the entire demeanor, the psychology, while at the same time opening our awareness. Pointing the crown of the head straight to the ceiling, so the crown is flush to the sky, and letting the weight settle and sink from there. So the crown is gently pressed up, the weight is allowed to settle through the upright structure. And letting the ground push us up. The ground pushes the leg up, pressing the ground to come up. And into a light horse stance. Toes slightly out. The knees over the feet. So light horse stance. Press into the ground, shift the weight and turn the hips. Press into the ground, let those arms go, release those shoulder joints. It's a reminder of vertical posture and alignment, reminder of releasing and relaxing, and a reminder of using the base to move, not the upper body. And even better, entering into the ground to allow the ground to move us. Develop a very deep and stable root, a very strong and stable platform. So then the upper body can afford to be relaxed and released and open. If we don't have a strong base, if our hips and legs aren't strong, if we don't connect to the ground, our upper body can't afford to be relaxed and released. It has to be tight, it has to try to protect itself, and it has to do all the work. So as we develop our base, the strength and stamina and the legs and hips, and our ability to and willingness to connect to the ground, the upper body, arms, spine, then now have a chance to release, open, relax, and let go. And let's take a long forward stance, have the same sort of quality, just vertical arm swings now. And just pressing the foot into the ground to shift the weight. Front foot pressing down, sends you back. Press into the back foot, send you forward. Let the ground do that for you. You need leg strength for that to really happen. Those legs to be bent. And switch to the other stance. Good. And being center focused. Tanden or the hara is about 3 inches below the navel. That's the center of our body. It's also the center of our mental focus, center of our breathing, center of where we move our mind and our energy. So to work with all that, breathe in and imagine expanding out from that place. A sphere expanding out in all directions, and breathing out, coming back from all directions, consolidating to your center point below the navel. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Go at your own pacing, through your own breathing. The timing is very specific. It's mind, breath, then body. So your mind goes out, extend the mind out. We're always talking about extend the intention, current of intention, send the mind out. You breathe in, expansive in breath, and the body follows the movement of your mind and breath. So mind, breath, then body. That's the sequence, that's the train. So breathing, sending the mind out, breathing in, the body follows that expansive direction. Bring the mind back to your core, back to home base, back to your physical center, just below the navel. Breathing out, and the arms and body follow the direction of the mind and breath. You can even have a little rising and sinking. So breathing in, the mind goes out first, breathing in. You might even expand, just like a balloon would rise as it fills with air. You can rise as well, just as natural as a balloon would as it fills. And just like a balloon would naturally sink as it empties with air, you're gonna have a little rising and sinking. So rising is part of that expansion, because you're expanding not just outward, but spherically in all directions. So it means up and down. Expanding up and down, but of course when you press down, the ground keeps you there, so it pushes you more up. But you're expanding, the rising is part of that expansive direction, and the settling, sinking, matches the downward drop. The emptying, coming back to center, is that dropping action. So the internal training of this is to time those three factors: mind, breath, then body. So eventually the body becomes very soft and very compliant. The saying is the body becomes a good servant of the mind. But as long as we have a tight and dense body, it can't be a good servant of the mind or energy flow. So this has to do with synchronization and fidelity. The body, breath, and mind have a high fidelity. They're connected. They're sutured. So the body is only moving because of the direction of the mind and breath. Again, for that to really develop, we need to soften and relax, change the body, become more open and released. Good. Now, a little wider stance. And do some more arm swings, but now a little bit more movement. Come up on the ball of that foot, and then we can turn to the wall behind us to get a little more action. But again, the mind leads the motion. So if this tip of my finger is symbolic of my intention, the leading edge of my mind, it goes first, my body follows. So intention moves the body. So that's a very important part of internal martial arts. The mind leads the body. So it's mind first, then ki, then body. Or mind, energy, then body in that sequence. I send my intention, my energy flows in that direction. My relaxed, soft body is swept up by that current of intention. So then your mind, breath, and body become in sync, finely tuned. So if you need to react spontaneously, whether it's a self-defense situation or simply self-defense against nature, maybe a car coming too close to you or a tree falling, your psyche, your mind, your intuition, psyche, body, everything is connected, synchronized. So you act very spontaneously, very quickly, very immediately, very appropriately, very intelligently, without having to think about it, because your spirit, your mind, your energy, your body are all sutured together, synchronized. So even a simple movement like arm swings or warm-ups That's actually part of what we're training. If we're consciously working those things, if we're aware of those principles and possibilities and consciously bringing it into our warm up and our movement, that's that internal training. Mind leads the body. It's mind, then ki or energy or breath energy, then body movement, and the body moves because of those previous forces. And feel free to unmute yourselves if you have a question about any of these things. Okay, to further our warm-up, we'll go through the white belt program, and Bretton's working on this, and it'll be good for us to review. You can never do basics too much, and it'll be continuing of our warm-ups. So as we go into Funakoki Endo and everything we do on the most basic program, the more experienced people try to take what we're just talking about up to this point. What's moving you? For example, if I'm doing Funakoki Endo, am I just moving my body and my mind's kind of in there? That's an empty movement. A full movement is when the mind moves first and the body is driven. The mind moves first, the body is captivated. So this is the mind, this is the body. The mind leads the body. The mind has a direction, choose a direction, and it carries the body with it. So it's very much one's dominant and one's submissive in a sense. One's yang and one's yin. The mind is yang, the body is yin, ideally. But that's not what most people are. Most people, their body is very dense and tight. Their mind is very dense and tight. And it's like they're compacted. They're an ice cube. So the water doesn't flow. We want our energy and therefore our body to be more like water, not an ice cube, not hard. So the mind moves the body. So when you do your movement, try to be very, very, not just mindful, but intentful. So mind leads. Through your arms as well. Send your intentional current through your arms like they're hollow pipes, PCV pipes. Same with your legs. They're open and hollow. So the energy from the earth can move through it. So your intentional energy can move through it. Your body is an open conduit. It's like PCV pipe, furnace, duct pipes. So more experienced people put your mind, put your spirit into the movement, and your body is only moving because of the movement of your energy, your breath energy, your focus. So the body is soft, so it can be dragged through time and space by the mind. Funakoki Endo. And then things can start to release and let go and not be overly muscular. And once you can start to really relax because you're letting the base do the work, the abdomen can release, tailbone hangs. So we don't want to be up like this, very tight, brings the weight, upper side, raises our center of gravity, locks our knees, hips are hanging. Again, press into the ground with the foot to do the weight shift for you. And with the turn, take your time, turn on one heel without letting your weight fall back. Then the other heel, shift forward, shift back, one heel, then the other heel, shift forward, shift back. Of course, you want that forward knee to go right on top of that forward foot for good alignment and support. So again, more experienced people, your intention leads the way. Remember that saying? It's quite a quaint saying, Eastern quote. The mind is host and the body is guest. The mind leads the way and the body follows. So I find this to be a useful imagery. I mentioned if this was symbolically the leading edge of my intention, this is my mind. I was just saying with the arm swings, okay, this is the leading point of my intention. That's what moves me. My mind moves, my body moves. A little bit more vibrant example of that. Again, if this is the leading edge of my intention, and I throw my intention over there, see how that brings me around? In fact, I'd like you to do this. So again, symbolically, you imagine that the tip of your finger is the leading edge of your intention. And face one way, and you're going to throw your arm behind you right to the tip of the finger. And of course, it's momentum. But use your imagination, your intention goes to the tip of that finger, and you throw your intention behind you. I throw my intention behind me, it turns me around. I throw my intention behind me, it brings me around. So try that. Throw that fingertip behind you, it turns you around. It's quite powerful. And notice that it doesn't take any effort of your body to turn around. Other than the effort of putting your intention there, my body is turned around for me. In fact, the stronger I throw my arm behind me, the easier I turn around, and the faster, more powerful, more vibrantly I turn around. Now, of course, that's happening right now because of physical momentum. The symbology is that as I throw the weight of my intention, we're having some internet problems. So physically right now, of course, it's the momentum that swings me around. But our mental intention has kind of a weight to it as well. It's kind of a weight to it, a force, a weight to it. So if I whip my intention around, like I'm whipping my hand around, whip my hand around physically, that physical momentum, physical physics swings me around. Well, if my intention has kind of a weight to it as well, and I whip my intention around, it brings my body around for me in the same way this does. So if my mind is very clear, my intention is very strong, and we can develop intention just like any other muscle. And by the way, internal martial arts, another phrase to describe it is intentional arts. Sometimes internal martial arts are called intentional arts. And this is exactly why, because the focus is on mind, just like that phrase said. Mind is host, body is guest. In the Eastern arts, the mind is primary, the body secondary. It's very different than in the West. So intentional arts, what's even more important than the body is developing the mind, strength of the mind, the focus of the mind, the extension of the mind, and then the body swept up in that. Now we have to also cultivate a good, soft, relaxed, open body so it can be a good guest. Host is mind, guest is body. The body can be a good guest or a good servant. Or another phrase used in Eastern arts, an empty vessel. A big part of our time is cultivating the body to become an open, empty vessel. So it's a better vessel, a better servant of the mind. So if I whip my intention around, it brings me around. On the same line of thought, let's do one other little drill that tends to prove to you that your intention has a weight to it or a force to it. It's a real force, real enough that it affects the physical body, affects the physical world. So I'd like you to stand nice and straight. And I don't want you to move. I want you to stand still. So your job physically is to stand still and don't move. Okay? Physically, no moving, stand still. Now, mentally, I'd like you to throw your mind way out in front of you. And now throw your mind way behind you. So imagine you could throw your mind way in front of you and then throw it way behind you. Or just imagine and think way ahead of you, past the wall, past into the next block ahead of you, and then place your mind way behind you, hundreds of miles behind you. Now place your mind hundreds of miles in front of you. Maybe into the planets or galaxies behind us, and then send your mind to the galaxies in front of you. Throw your mind behind you, throw your mind in front of you. Now just a couple more times, really strongly. Throw your mind behind you, throw your mind in front of you. Now what's happened to your body? What happened to your body?
There's some rocking back and forth.
Right. Yes. Anybody else notice that? But remember, you weren't supposed to move. So physically, you weren't trying to move. In fact, maybe you're even trying to just stay really still, solid, stationary. But at the very least, you weren't trying to do anything physically. By the mere virtue of throwing your attention forward and throwing it back or in any direction, it brought your body forward. Send my mind back, it brings your mind back. So that's the mind-body connection. The mind leads, the body follows, especially the stronger our mind gets, which is a huge part of our training. That's why we do weapons training. That's why we're talking about sending your ki out, strong forward intention, developing a stronger mind, stronger focus, stronger intention. So the stronger your mind is, the more effect you can have on your body. And the more coordinated your mind and body can be. But the other half of the equation is, so stronger mind, developing intention, developing awareness and intention. But the other side of the equation is developing the body or cultivating a different kind of body than what most people have. Most people's bodies are dense and tight and hard. That's not a very good vessel for the mind to work through. It's too dense and too tight. So the mind is like a wind, a gust of wind, a breeze. And the body is too cumbersome, too blocky for that breeze to affect it. So the other half of the work in internal martial arts, intentional arts, is to cultivate a relaxed, open, spacious body. So our body is more refined, like a good sail on a boat. And just the merest gust of a wind is enough to inflate that sail, buoy up that sail, and move the boat. So we develop a body that becomes a better sail, a silken sail, instead of a heavy, dense canvas sail. A sail that's collapsed down, it's not even up. So developing a clear, stronger mind, ability to send our intention out, stronger out, further out. And that's why we spend so much time saying, relax, open the shoulder joints, don't use muscle. So the body becomes a better sail. So if I have a very clear, strong mind, and I throw it in a direction, and my body is very open and relaxed, it takes the smallest little intention, my body moves. Back to this idea, I said that spontaneous, an intelligence, a natural intelligence, the trees falling or cars coming towards you, your mind is open, your spirit is present, your mind, your energy senses something, your body just moves. Your body just moves because you're unified, you're integrated. Mind and body are sutured, synchronized. That's a huge part of what we're doing, even on these most basic of movements. This is actually what we're training. We're training some martial shape and martial movements, but this is an internal martial art, intentional art. So every movement we do is another opportunity to train these things. The mind, train the mind, cultivate a different body. So all that grandiose possibilities and things we're training, can you take that into one of our most basic movements? You'll probably have to slow down to feel what you're doing and to intend first to get the sequence, mind, breath, body, get that sequence. So that's why most of the time we're working very slowly, because once I start speeding up, It's just my body moving and my mind is catching up. So again, most people, their body moves first and their mind moves second to a large extent. Once I start moving faster, my body is just moving, but it's not wholly sutured. It's not fully integrated and synchronized. I get split. I move my body because my body knows the movement pretty well now. I've done this for a lot of years, so my body can just do it, but it's kind of empty. It's not whole. It's not integrated. It's not synchronized. So take the time to get the synchronization, the timing, mind, breath, then body. And that develops a more holistic movement, a more internally dynamic, powerful movement. Minucci. So again, mainly the more experienced people, you bring all this into this basic movement. And we'll just start with just forward and back, not even the turn, because we want to go slow and simple, because this is a lot of internal work, a lot of internal focus. Then of course, with training and practice, we take this into faster speed and eventually regular daily living speed, and eventually full power speed, maximum speed, and still have some or most or all of these dynamics or principles involved. Remember, one of the little tools we use, string suspending the head from above so we can hang out. That's another little handy imagery or tool to keep our spine straight, posture vertical, and to bend those knees a bit more. If we're vertical and the spine is straight, we're a better vessel. We're a better vessel for the mind and breath. If we're collapsed or tight or bent over, the body's not a very good sail anymore. It's a collapsed sail. It's not an empty vessel anymore for the mind and energy to work through it. Okay, so Hanmi no Kamai. So that happens to be a slight forward stance. So if this is about 50-50, it's just slightly forward, like 60%, 40%. Ready stance, just like we're holding the Jo or a Boken. And in this program, Hanmi no Kamai means really switching Hanmi no Kamai, switching stance. Physically, what that means is the back foot comes up, front foot goes back, and the switching of the legs switches the hands and arms. And we don't want to bob up and down, so we keep the legs bent. We stay grounded, but bring what we've been doing today into this. Your mind moves first. Remember this, my mind is right here. This is the leading edge of my intention. That's what moves me, is the movement of my intention, or the whipping of my intention. So have your mind totally move first. Let your body be soft, relaxed, but open, not just relaxed, because that's kind of slumped and condensed. It's not normal people's relaxed. That's dead and collapsed. It's open and spacious. Then your body is a good vessel for your intention. Have your intention move you just like it moved you when you were doing that forward and back swaying by throwing your attention or whipping you around. That's why you're switching stance and how you're switching your stance. Not because you're moving your legs and moving your arms, it's because you're moving your spirit. You're moving all of you. Every part of you on all levels, all dimensions is switching, and your body is just forced to go, is swept up in the movement of your intention. Now we're training not just the body, we're training very deeply energetically. So if we take this into basic footwork, the white belt program. We start again, forward stance. We'll start with the left leg forward, Hidari. Irimi Sugiyashi. Irimi Sugiyashi, front foot comes offline a little bit. Turn 45 degrees, but keep the front knee bent. We're maintaining a forward stance. And the main reason is because we're still developing that forward attitude, or simply we're training a strong intentional current. You can't create all directions at once because you'll be diffused. Your intensity of focus will be dispersed, be diluted. So we just focus on forward at first. But we have been recently talking about really it's all directions. It's not just forward, it's also back. And ultimately all directions, so you become a sphere of awareness, a sphere of emanating intelligence and awareness. But if you try to do that at first, you might get fairly spherical and omnidirectional, but it's low wattage. It's a very low watt light bulb. So we want to develop strength, some wattage, develop your intention. And then over time, that can become more omnidirectional. So front foot comes offline, slight turn. So work on that forward streaming. Okay, so each, knee, san. Now, something I want to bring into this that relates to a theme that we're doing recently. Some of you will remember this. We talked about already there. The principle and quality of already there. This is very much in line with what we've been working on today. The mind leads the body, spirit first, the body swept up. So if I'm going here, if you imagine and feel, not just imagine, because that's just up in the head, feel. It's more powerful, more potent to feel. Feeling is more potent than imagination. So imagine and feel that you're already there and your body is just swept up. So when I count, you can take an extra second to place yourself there already, intentionally, spiritually, so to speak. Throw your attention there and your body just fills in that space. Let me give you a quick imagery. I think you can all relate to this, especially if you've ever owned a cat or have a cat. But even if you don't own a cat, no doubt you've seen this at some point. When a cat is about to jump on top of the fence or on top of your fridge, did you ever look really closely into the cat's face or into the cat's eyes? Right before it's going to jump. The cat is about to jump on top of that shelf or top of that fridge. You'll see if you look in its face, it's already there. Just before it jumps, it's already placed itself there. The intention is clean and pure. Look at the focus in the cat's eyes. It's already there on top of the shelf or wherever it's jumping. It's already there, and the body just fills in that space. It's already there energetically, spiritually, and the body just fills in that blueprint. The blueprint's already there. The energy body is already there. It's already gone. Its mind is there, its spirit's there, everything's there, and the body has to follow. The body fills in that space. That's what we're doing with this, already there. So before you do the move, this is a fairly simple movement, right? So we get to really focus on the internal. Already there, and the body fills in the space that you've already occupied. That's for more experienced people. What I'd like you to do, that's the internal training. That's intentional arts. That's why it's called intentional arts. And that's where the training is really going ultimately, because it's an internal martial art. So if I'm doing Irimi Sugiyashi, I'm already there, my body follows. You've already arrived on all levels except the physical, and the physical then has to arrive. Make sense? Okay, so when I count, feel free to take an extra split second to throw your attention there. Just like we threw our attention over here with the other exercises, throw your attention, you're already there. Let your body then fill in that space or follow. Each. Knee, already there. San, you're already there. Shi, you're there already. Go. Go. Seat. Touch. Okay, other side. Now, you may or may not have felt this at this point, but it makes a cleaner movement, cleaner, sharper movement, because we're organized, we're sutured, we're synchronized. Everything that we are is connected, integrated. Each already there. Knee already. San. Shi. Go. Go. Move your spirit first. Seach. Touch. Okay, that's all we have time for today. Organize, center, mind goes out, breath goes out, body follows. Mind comes back to home base, below the navel, breathe out, body follows. Mind, breath, body. Mind, breath, body. Okay, let's bow out. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you, Sensei.
Very welcome. See you next time.
Thank you very much, Sensei.
See you. Thank you.